In the early spring of 1912, the RMS Titanic embarked on its maiden voyage, an event that would go down in history not for a collision with an iceberg but for a sinister turn of events that unfolded in the cold, desolate expanses of the North Atlantic. The Titanic, equipped with the latest technology and touted as unsinkable, set sail from Southampton with great fanfare. However, little did the passengers and crew know that a series of unfortunate incidents would unfold, setting the stage for a tragedy of a different kind. As the ship ventured into the icy waters, an unforeseen mechanical failure occurred. The engineers on board had struggled with a persistent issue in the engine room, a problem that had gone unnoticed in the haste of completing the ship. The blackout began gradually, with flickering lights and ominous vibrations echoing through the vessel. The suffering started with the crew members tirelessly working to fix the malfunction. The engine room turned into a sweltering inferno of heat and desperation. The oppressive atmosphere of the malfunctioning ship seeped into the hearts of the passengers, creating an unsettling sense of doom. Days turned into weeks as the Titanic drifted aimlessly in the frigid ocean. The initial optimism turned to panic as supplies dwindled, and the crew's attempts to repair the engines became increasingly futile. The once luxurious ship became a claustrophobic nightmare, filled with the stench of fear and despair. As the blackout persisted, a sense of isolation enveloped the ship. Passengers huddled together for warmth, haunted by the constant creaking and groaning of the ship. The once grand halls echoed with the cries of those who suffered from the cold, hunger, and exhaustion. The suffering reached its peak when the ship's communication systems failed. Desperation grew as the realization sank in that rescue was unlikely. Families were torn apart, and a profound sense of loss and helplessness permeated the ghostly corridors of the Titanic. In this alternate reality, the Titanic became a drifting tomb, a ghost ship forever trapped in the icy expanse. The suffering endured by those on board left an indelible mark on the ship's spectral existence. The ocean, which should have been a symbol of life and adventure, became a cold, unyielding grave for the ill-fated souls aboard the haunted vessel. In the eerie silence of the frigid ocean, the once majestic Titanic continued its aimless drift, a haunting specter of the tragedy that had unfolded. Weeks turned into a desolate landscape of despair, with no sign of rescue on the horizon. The ship, now devoid of life, stood as a grim monument to suffering and desolation. The grand decks were devoid of laughter, the luxurious cabins empty and hauntingly quiet. The ship's interior, once bustling with activity, was now a chilling reminder of the souls lost to the merciless sea. The crew, weary from their futile attempts to repair the engines and maintain order, succumbed to the unforgiving elements. Their bodies lay scattered throughout the ship, frozen in time and forever tethered to the vessel that had become their watery grave. As the days passed, the Titanic drifted deeper into the heart of the icy expanse, its once gleaming exterior now weathered and battered by the relentless forces of nature. Ice clung to the ship's hull, encasing it in a frosty shroud, a stark contrast to the warm, inviting image it had once projected. The lifeboats, unused and untouched, remained tethered to the deck, a haunting symbol of missed opportunities for salvation. They swayed gently with the ocean's rhythm, a silent testament to the tragedy that had unfolded. Inside the ship, remnants of the passengers' lives lay scattered, a child's toy left abandoned in a corner, a half-written letter frozen in time, and personal belongings strewn across deserted rooms. Each artifact whispered of the lives lost and the dreams shattered in the bleakness of the endless ocean. The once lively dining halls and ballrooms were now haunting echoes of the past, their opulent decor casting long, eerie shadows in the dim light filtering through frost-covered windows. Above the ghostly ship, the stars painted a celestial canvas, indifferent to the human tragedy that had played out below. The Titanic drifted silently, a ghost ship in a realm suspended between the world of the living and the abyss of the unknown. Its final resting place remained a mystery, lost in the vastness of the icy waters, a haunting reminder of the suffering and despair that had consumed all aboard the ill-fated vessel. The legacy of the Titanic was not one of grandeur and luxury, but a somber tale of loss, desolation, and the eternal solitude of the deep, dark ocean. In the aftermath of the Titanic's disappearance, anguish and desperation gripped the families of those aboard. The absence of information about the ship's location added an agonizing layer to their grief. The world was left stunned by the inexplicable vanishing of such a colossal vessel. Governments launched extensive search efforts, employing the latest technologies available in that era. Ships scoured the ocean, following erratic currents and speculative leads, yet the Titanic remained elusive, lost in the vast expanse of the North Atlantic. For the families, the absence of closure was a tormenting void. They clung to hope, waiting for news that never arrived. Some sought solace in spiritual beliefs, weaving tales of the Titanic becoming an otherworldly entity, a ghost ship that haunted the seas, forever out of reach. Rumors swirled among communities and seafaring circles. Whispers spoke of ghostly sightings, distant apparitions resembling the grandeur of the Titanic drifting amidst fog-covered waters. These tales, though dismissed as folklore by many, provided a flicker of hope for those unwilling to accept the grim reality. Years passed, and the mystery surrounding the Titanic's fate persisted. The families held onto fragments of memories, the last letters received, faded photographs, and cherished possessions that became the only tangible connections to their lost loved ones. The search for the Titanic gradually waned, relegated to the annals of unsolved maritime mysteries. Despite advancements in technology over the decades, the ship remained shrouded in obscurity, an enigma that eluded discovery. The families, though scarred by the tragedy, found ways to honor the memories of those lost. Memorials were erected, and ceremonies held to commemorate the lives that vanished with the ill-fated voyage. The legacy of the Titanic, now intertwined with sorrow and unanswered questions, echoed through generations, a reminder of the fragility of human endeavors in the face of nature's might. And so, the Titanic slipped from the world's immediate consciousness, becoming a haunting legend, a tragic tale whispered through the ages, forever entwined with the ocean's mysteries, leaving behind a void that time could never truly fill. In the bleak expanse of the wartime North Atlantic, the RMS Olympic, now adorned in its wartime camouflage paint and fitted for battle, cut through the icy waters with a steely determination. The crew, hardened by the realities of war, scanned the horizon for any signs of enemy vessels. Little did they anticipate the spectral encounter that awaited them. As the moon cast an eerie glow over the frigid sea, the crew spotted an anomaly on the horizon. It was a ship, but not just any ship. It was the long-lost sister vessel, the RMS Titanic, frozen in time as if the clock had stopped in 1912. The Olympic's crew, initially baffled by the surreal sight, soon felt an unsettling presence emanating from the ghostly vessel. The Titanic, appearing in stark contrast to the war-ready Olympic, bore the scars of its prolonged journey through the unforgiving elements. Its once opulent hull now faded and worn, covered in a veneer of frost and sea salt. The lifeboats, mere skeletal remnants of their former selves, hung precariously from their davits, their canvas covers long decayed. The ship's lights, extinguished for decades, now emitted an ominous blood-red glow, casting an otherworldly pallor over the scene. The Olympic's crew, gripped by a mix of terror and disbelief, watched in horror as the ghostly Titanic altered its course, moving towards them with a spectral determination. The dead calm of the night was shattered by the crew's frantic shouts and the shrill sound of the ship's alarm bells. Panic set in as the realization dawned that the Titanic, a vessel lost in time, was on a collision course with the Olympic. The ship, seemingly propelled by an unseen force, glided over the icy waters, its bow aimed directly at the war-hardened vessel. As the two ships drew closer, the Olympic's crew glimpsed the haunting tableau on the Titanic's deck. Lifelike figures, eerily preserved by the cold, lay motionless, faces turned towards the ocean. The lifeboats, hanging by frayed ropes, swung with a ghostly creaking, adding to the surreal nightmare unfolding before them. Desperation gripped the Olympic as evasive maneuvers proved futile. Panic turned to terror as the ghostly Titanic surged forward, its blood-red lights intensifying with an unnatural glow. In a last-ditch effort to escape the impending collision, the Olympic's crew unleashed a barrage of gunfire upon the spectral vessel. Yet, to their bewilderment, the shots curved and missed as if the very fabric of reality defied their efforts. As the Titanic sailed ominously past the Olympic, the crew, shaken but alive, continued to fire into the night. The ghost ship disappeared into the darkness, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions and a crew haunted by the inexplicable encounter. The RMS Olympic, battered but resilient, continued its wartime voyage, but the ghostly specter of the Titanic lingered in the crew's minds. The haunting vision would persist, an indelible mark on their war-torn souls, as they sailed towards the safety of Newfoundland's port, uncertain of the reality they had just witnessed. As the Carpathia, an aging vessel weathered by the passage of time, plowed through the dark waters of the Atlantic, Captain Rostern and his crew were unaware of the nightmare silently approaching from the shadows. The moon cast an ethereal glow on the icy waves as the ghostly silhouette of the Titanic emerged on the ship's port side, a mere 700 feet behind. Captain Rostern, a seasoned mariner with a reputation for navigating treacherous waters, felt a chill in his bones as he beheld the surreal scene unfolding in the ship's wake. The haunting glow of the Titanic's blood-red lights cast an eerie pallor over the sea, and the Carpathia's crew, already on edge from the tales of the Olympic's encounter, shared furtive glances. In the captain's quarters, Captain Rostern scrutinized the charts, his brow furrowed with concern. He knew that the Carpathia, though an aging vessel, possessed a legacy of resilience and steadfastness. The crew, disciplined and experienced, awaited his orders with a mix of anticipation and anxiety. With a firm grip on the ship's wheel, Captain Rostern made a decisive choice to outpace the ghost ship that tailed them from the abyss. The Carpathia's engines roared to life, pushing the ship to its limits, defying the constraints of its aging structure. The ocean, an expanse of uncertainty and dread, seemed to stretch endlessly before them. The Carpathia cut through the waves, leaving behind a trail of foamy resistance as it surged forward. The Titanic, a relic of the past, strained to keep pace, its ghostly form a haunting reminder of the mysteries that lingered beneath the surface. The Carpathia's crew, rallied by Captain Rostern's determination, worked in tandem to maximize the ship's speed. The haunting presence of the Titanic, though an otherworldly force, would not deter them from escaping the clutches of the ghost ship's inexorable pursuit. As the minutes turned to hours, the Carpathia widened the gap between itself and the spectral Titanic. Captain Rostern, with a stern gaze fixed on the haunted vessel in the distance, felt a sense of triumph mingled with the lingering unease. The crew, weary yet resolute, continued their vigilant watch, knowing that the nightmares of the deep sea were not easily escaped. The Carpathia sailed on through the night, its lights cutting through the darkness like a beacon of defiance. The ghostly Titanic, unable to match the speed of its living counterpart, gradually faded into the inky abyss, leaving the Carpathia and its crew to ponder the enigma of the haunted ocean. Captain Rostern, a master of the sea, steered his ship away from the ghost ship's lingering gaze, determined to leave the phantoms of the past behind. Yet, as the Carpathia sailed onward, the crew couldn't shake the feeling that the shadows of the deep still held secrets that eluded even the most seasoned mariners. The nightmare persisted, lurking beneath the surface, a reminder that the mysteries of the sea were as timeless and unyielding as the tides themselves. Captain Rostern's heart pounded in his chest as he rushed back to the charts, the weight of the night's horrors settling heavily on his shoulders. The realization that the ghostly Titanic was not a figment of fevered imagination but a tangible threat left him shaken. The charts revealed a stark truth: no other vessels were within a few hundred miles, except for one, a hospital ship, a beacon of mercy, marked by the unmistakable Red Cross symbol. His mind raced with a mix of desperation and determination. The hospital ship, a sanctuary of healing, was perilously close to the pursuing ghost ship, and Captain Rostern couldn't allow it to fall prey to the malevolent force that haunted the waters. With a resolute spirit, he sprinted back to the ship's wheel, barking orders to his crew. "Full engines. We're racing against hell itself, but we can't let that hospital ship go down." The crew, driven by a sense of duty to their fellow seafarers, executed the orders with urgency. As the Carpathia surged forward, cutting through the waves with a newfound intensity, Captain Rostern's mind grappled with the dire circumstances. The Axis powers trailed close behind, an imminent threat, yet his immediate concern was the impending danger to the hospital ship. The reality of wartime constraints hit him hard. They couldn't risk sending a wireless transmission without exposing themselves to enemy interception. The war had imposed a suffocating silence on the seas, leaving the Carpathia to navigate the treacherous waters in a state of isolation. Captain Rostern, his frustration boiling over, grabbed a megaphone, his voice cutting through the cold night air. "Damn the war! We're not a warship, we're a cargo ship. I won't have innocent lives on my conscience. Issue all warnings in open channels. A ghost ship, the Titanic, is hunting all vessels in the area." The crew, spurred by their captain's impassioned plea, broadcast the warnings across the open channels. The message echoed across the desolate seas, a beacon of warning to any vessel within earshot. The hospital ship, its fate hanging in the balance, remained blissfully unaware of the spectral danger closing in. As the Carpathia pushed its engines to the brink, the crew grappled with the knowledge that their selfless act might expose them to the very real threat of enemy pursuit. The ghost ship, a relentless force from the past, pursued its inscrutable mission, drawing closer to the vulnerable hospital ship. Captain Rostern, haunted by the specter of the Titanic, steered the Carpathia towards a collision course with destiny. The open channels resonated with the urgency of their warning, a desperate plea to a world engulfed in the chaos of war. The night, already filled with the echoes of ghostly encounters, bore witness to a harrowing race against time and malevolence on the unforgiving seas. The HMS Britannic, functioning as a hospital ship in the midst of wartime, received the urgent warning relayed by Captain Rostern of the Carpathia. Captain Brewer, at the helm of the Britannic, initially struggled to comprehend the gravity of the message. However, before he could even react, an unexpected transmission blared through the open channels: the RMS Olympic, sister ship to the ghostly Titanic, corroborating the Carpathia's alarming account. The urgency in the Olympic's transmission was palpable. It urged the Britannic to sail at maximum speed to the aid of the Carpathia, affirming the credibility of the warning about the ghost ship's relentless pursuit. In a rare display of solidarity amidst wartime chaos, 2 enemy warships and 3 Allied vessels, who had previously interacted with the Carpathia in times of peace, verified the honesty and urgency of Captain Rostern's distress call. They echoed the urgency to flee as swiftly as possible from the approaching threat. Captain Brewer, his disbelief giving way to a grim determination, swiftly rallied his crew on the Britannic. The hospital ship, typically a beacon of healing and hope, transformed into a vessel fleeing from the haunting shadow of the ghost ship. The urgency of the situation propelled the Britannic into action, setting a course to rendezvous with the imperiled Carpathia. Simultaneously, the RMS Olympic, steered by a resolute crew and driven by the pressing need to assist its fellow vessels, set sail towards the coordinates of the Carpathia. The prospect of the sister ship joining the fray against the ghostly menace offered a glimmer of hope amidst the encroaching darkness. Amidst the chaos of wartime, a rare unity unfolded across the seas. Vessels, once adversaries on the battlefield, now united in a desperate bid to outrun an otherworldly threat. The urgency in the open channels reverberated, a symphony of solidarity and determination to evade the spectral terror that lurked in the frigid depths. As the Carpathia pushed its engines to their limits, the haunting specter of the Titanic haunted the horizon, a malevolent force driving the desperate race against time. The seas, witness to the convergence of mortal enemies turned allies, bore the weight of a battle against an otherworldly foe, a race against an unrelenting ghost ship, where survival depended on unity, speed, and sheer determination to defy the horrors that lurked in the dark waters. The haunting presence of the Titanic, trailing closely behind the Britannic, sent shivers down the spines of the crew. Despite the Britannic's superior speed, the ghostly vessel maintained an eerie proximity, never allowing more than 100 feet to separate them. The Carpathia and the Olympic, racing towards the troubled scene, witnessed the unsettling pursuit through their telescopes. The Titanic, a phantom from another time, defied the laws of reality, a relentless pursuer hell-bent on reaching its intended quarry. Captain Brewer of the Britannic, his nerves taut with apprehension, commanded his crew to squeeze every ounce of speed from the vessel's engines. The hospital ship, typically a sanctuary of healing, was now a vessel of desperate flight, trying to outpace the ghostly specter that haunted the dark waters. The crew's frantic efforts to evade the relentless pursuit of the Titanic mirrored the desperate race for survival in the unforgiving depths of wartime. The haunting red glow from the Titanic's lights, casting an ominous hue on the icy waves, fueled a sense of dread that permeated the Britannic's deck. As the Carpathia and the Olympic closed the distance, the crews witnessed the harrowing spectacle unfolding before them. The ghost ship, its spectral form a chilling reminder of a tragic past, relentlessly chased its living counterpart, a nightmarish scene playing out against the backdrop of the cold, unyielding ocean. Captain Rostern and the crew of the Carpathia, alongside the crew of the Olympic, stood in grim silence, witnessing the surreal chase unfold. They knew they were racing against forces beyond comprehension, a battle not against mortal adversaries but against the echoes of history, a malevolent force that defied reason and defied escape. The air crackled with tension as the haunting pursuit continued, the Britannic and its spectral pursuer locked in a deadly race against time. The Carpathia and the Olympic, drawing closer with each passing moment, prepared to lend whatever aid they could, their hearts heavy with the weight of an encounter with a force that transcended the boundaries of life and death. The chase, a macabre dance between the living and the dead, unfolded in the bleak expanse of the North Atlantic, a testament to the enduring power of a tragic legacy that refused to be forgotten. The unexpected maneuver of the RMS Olympic, the elder sister ship of the trio, sent shockwaves through the icy waters. With resolute determination, the Olympic surged forward, positioning itself deftly between the Britannic and the ghostly Titanic, effectively severing the pursuit between the two vessels. The ghostly Titanic, caught off guard by this daring move, diverted its course, now fixated on the Olympic as its new target. The haunting specter, propelled by an otherworldly force, accelerated in pursuit of the Olympic, leaving the Britannic momentarily spared from the relentless chase. Captain Rostern and the crew of the Carpathia, witnessing the audacious maneuver through their telescopes, held their breath as the nightmarish scene unfolded. The Olympic, now the focal point of the ghost ship's pursuit, raced forward with grim determination, its crew fully aware of the perilous gamble they had undertaken. The Britannic, given a brief reprieve from the haunting pursuit, continued to surge forward, its crew pushing the vessel's limits in an effort to put more distance between themselves and the chilling entity that now hunted the Olympic. The chase between the Olympic and the Titanic intensified, the elder sister ship drawing upon every ounce of its strength and speed to outmaneuver the relentless ghost ship. The haunting red glow of the Titanic's lights illuminated the dark waters as it relentlessly closed the gap between the two vessels. Captain Brewer of the Britannic, spared momentarily from the ghostly threat, grappled with the decision ahead. The specter of the Titanic, a relentless force from the past, continued its pursuit, while the Carpathia raced closer, determined to provide aid to whichever vessel was in the most dire need. The night bore witness to an otherworldly spectacle, a chase between the living and the dead, a desperate gamble by the Olympic to divert the ghost ship's pursuit, a gamble that held the fate of all three vessels in a delicate balance on the haunted waters of the North Atlantic. The tension in the air was palpable as Captain Rostern of the Carpathia orchestrated a daring plan to aid the Britannic in escaping the pursuit of the ghostly Titanic. With grim determination, the Carpathia maneuvered closer, closing the gap between the two vessels. In a calculated move, the Carpathia's crew fired a sturdy chain line, expertly aiming to secure it to the Britannic's deck. The command echoed across the open waters, "Go full power. You're faster than us. Pull towards the ghost ship. We will cut the chain and ram them." The crew of the Britannic, gripped by the urgency of the moment, sprang into action. The powerful engines roared to life as the ship surged forward, aided by the force of the Carpathia pulling at the chain. The ghostly Titanic, in its relentless pursuit of the Olympic, found itself unwittingly on a collision course with the determined Britannic. Amidst the chaos, Captain Brewer on the Britannic shouted commands to his crew, coordinating the synchronized efforts with the Carpathia. The tension on both vessels was palpable as the haunting specter of the Titanic drew ever closer, its blood-red lights casting an ominous glow on the turbulent waters. As the Carpathia and the Britannic drew closer to their desperate collision course with the ghost ship, Captain Rostern relayed a premeditated message to the Olympic, instructing them to be prepared for their swift intervention. With a heavy heart and unwavering resolve, Captain Rostern made a difficult decision. He ordered the cutting of all lifeboats, sacrificing these essential vessels as makeshift floating objects for his crew to cling to in the frigid waters after the impending collision. The crew of the Carpathia, fully aware of the sacrifice made for the greater good, moved swiftly, severing the lifeboats from their davits. The sounds of chains being cut echoed through the night, a poignant reminder of the sacrifices made in the face of an otherworldly threat. The stage was set for a daring, high-stakes maneuver, the Britannic and the Carpathia hurtling towards the ghostly Titanic in a desperate bid to disrupt the relentless pursuit and save the newer vessels from the chilling fate that awaited them. The eerie silence of the night was shattered by the crescendo of engines and the impending clash of metal against the haunted vessel, a collision that would determine the fate of all those involved in this surreal encounter on the haunted seas. As the Britannic and the Carpathia executed their daring maneuver, the tension in the air was palpable. The severed tow line propelled the Carpathia forward, its engines roaring with added momentum from the powerful tug by the Britannic. The Carpathia surged forward at an astonishing speed of 30 knots, hurtling towards the ghostly Titanic with unwavering resolve. With precision and determination, the Carpathia's crew directed the vessel on a collision course with the ghost ship's port side. The haunting glow of the Titanic's lights illuminated the night as the specter of the past awaited the impending impact. The moment of collision was surreal, a clash of mortal vessel against spectral force, a collision that reverberated through the chilling depths of the North Atlantic. The Carpathia, a vessel of mercy turned instrument of sacrifice, rammed into the ghostly Titanic, its port side bearing the brunt of the forceful impact. The sound of metal meeting metal echoed through the night, a haunting testament to the clash between the living and the dead. The Carpathia's crew, in a display of bravery and sacrifice, bailed out from the stricken vessel, taking to the unforgiving waters with a resolve born of necessity. The Titanic, its spectral form now heavily damaged and limping through the water, bore the scars of the collision. The impact had slowed the ghost ship, its ethereal presence subdued by the force of the collision. Yet, despite the damage, the haunting vessel remained afloat, a grim testament to its enduring, otherworldly nature. Meanwhile, the Britannic, having been released from the slingshot motion, sailed away, distancing itself from the eerie scene. The sacrifice of the Carpathia, its heroic collision aimed to save the newer vessels from the relentless pursuit, left a void in the night, a sacrifice that would be forever etched in the annals of maritime history. The haunting encounter on the North Atlantic had reached a chilling crescendo, a collision of mortal will against a spectral force, a sacrifice that saved lives yet claimed a vessel in its wake. The night bore witness to a clash of worlds, leaving the waters shrouded in a haunting silence as the ghostly Titanic and the silent remnants of the Carpathia stood as stark reminders of a surreal encounter on the haunted seas. Amidst the aftermath of the harrowing collision, the RMS Olympic, having picked up the survivors from the Carpathia, pressed on through the frigid waters, its hull burdened by the weight of the rescued crew. The haunting specter of the Titanic, still engaged in a struggle with the Britannic, lingered on the horizon. However, as the Olympic sailed, the atmosphere changed. The distant sounds of artillery fire echoed across the desolate sea, capturing the attention of the bewildered crew. The haunting realization dawned as artillery shots, seemingly defying the silence of the night, struck the Titanic head-on. The source of the unexpected bombardment revealed itself: a German warship, its white flag raised in a gesture of non-hostility toward civilian vessels, fired upon the ghostly Titanic. The shots, though delivered with intent, seemed to have little effect on the spectral vessel, its ethereal nature defying the conventional impact of artillery fire. As the scene unfolded, a British warship emerged on the horizon, responding to the unexpected aggression from the German vessel. The two warships, adversaries in a different context, now shared a common cause: the intervention against the malevolent force that was the Titanic. The German and British warships engaged in a tense standoff, their artillery fire converging on the ghostly Titanic. The sea, a theater of surreal conflict, bore witness to an unlikely alliance formed by necessity, an alliance against a supernatural threat that transcended the boundaries of wartime allegiances. The Olympic, laden with survivors and slowed by the added weight, sailed towards the unfolding confrontation. The crew, caught between the remnants of the haunted encounter and the clash of warships, navigated the uncertain waters with caution. The surreal scene played out against the canvas of the North Atlantic: the ghostly Titanic, caught in a crossfire between former enemies turned uneasy allies. The haunting glow of the Titanic's lights flickered amidst the tumultuous exchange, a silent witness to a collision of forces that defied both the natural and the supernatural. As the German and British warships continued their barrage, the ghostly Titanic, battered yet defiant, persisted in its spectral existence. The night, already marred by the encounter with the unknown, now bore witness to a different kind of conflict, a struggle that transcended mortal boundaries and ventured into the realm of the inexplicable on the haunted seas. In the tumultuous theater of the North Atlantic, the ghostly Titanic, its spectral form a haunting reminder of a tragic past, made a desperate attempt to ram the German warship. The warship, swift in its evasion, narrowly dodged the menacing approach of the ghostly vessel, avoiding the potentially catastrophic collision. As the haunting Titanic's attempt faltered, a new contender entered the fray: the imposing silhouette of the USS Texas, BB-35, emerged on the horizon. The colossal size of the American battleship loomed over the haunted waters, a behemoth compared to the spectral presence of the Titanic. With a chilling determination, the USS Texas set a course towards the ghostly Titanic, its mighty bulk aimed to intercept the spectral threat. The crew aboard the American battleship prepared for impact, knowing the gravity of their imminent collision with the otherworldly entity. The haunting scene unfolded: the USS Texas, a symbol of American naval prowess, sailed at full speed, its massive size and unparalleled strength aimed to confront the ghostly Titanic. The collision between the mortal vessel and the spectral threat seemed inevitable, a clash of dimensions and forces beyond the realm of understanding. With a deafening roar and a monumental clash, the USS Texas collided head-on with the ghostly Titanic. The impact reverberated through the frigid waters, a collision that defied the laws of the natural world. The haunting vessel, faced with the overwhelming force of the American battleship, began to falter, its spectral form unable to withstand the brute strength of the USS Texas. Amidst the clash, the ghostly Titanic, its ethereal presence fading, succumbed to the immense power of the USS Texas. The American battleship, a symbol of mortal might, plowed through the spectral vessel, sending it cascading into the unforgiving depths of the ocean. The haunting specter of the Titanic, once a relentless force from the past, dissolved into the cold waters, its ethereal presence vanishing beneath the surface. The USS Texas, having confronted the inexplicable threat, stood as a sentinel on the haunted seas, a testament to mortal strength triumphing over the supernatural. The night, once shrouded in haunting uncertainty, bore witness to a surreal confrontation, a clash between the spectral and the mortal, a battle that ended with the vanquishing of a ghostly force by the sheer power of a battleship that sailed in defiance of the unknown on the haunted waters of the North Atlantic. As the USS Texas bore down upon the ghostly Titanic with unstoppable force, the haunting vessel began to crumble under the weight of the collision. The spectral entity, unable to withstand the sheer power of the battleship, started to fracture and splinter into two distinct halves. A deafening roar echoed through the frigid waters as the ghostly Titanic, a relic of tragedy and the supernatural, succumbed to the relentless might of the USS Texas. The spectral vessel, unable to maintain its ethereal form, disintegrated into two fractured parts, its spectral remnants dissipating into the unfathomable depths below. The haunting glow of the Titanic's lights flickered and faded, marking the end of its spectral existence. The waters, once haunted by its presence, now bore only remnants of the supernatural encounter, a fading memory of a ghostly force that had plagued the North Atlantic. The USS Texas, having emerged victorious from the surreal confrontation, stood as a testament to mortal strength and resilience against the inexplicable. The night, once shrouded in haunting uncertainty, now settled into an eerie calm, the remnants of the spectral Titanic lost to the depths, its legacy finally put to rest. The ocean, its depths concealing the mysteries of the past, swallowed the fractured remnants of the Titanic, leaving behind only whispers of a haunted encounter that would linger in the memories of those who bore witness to the otherworldly clash on the haunted seas. As the tense confrontation drew to a close, the German warship, having escaped the haunting encounter, slipped away into the darkness of the night. Amidst the fading echoes of the spectral clash, a final transmission crackled through the airwaves, a message tinged with a poignant sense of temporary unity in the face of the inexplicable. I just hate old sea stories, we are still enemies, but tonight we may live in peace, until tomorrow. Till then. The cryptic message, delivered by the retreating German vessel, hung in the air, a testament to the surreal nature of the encounter that had unfolded on the haunted waters. It carried with it a semblance of camaraderie born out of a shared confrontation against a force that transcended mortal boundaries, a fleeting moment of unity amidst the backdrop of a relentless conflict. As the night settled in, the seas returned to an eerie calm, the remnants of the spectral clash dissipating into the darkness. The echoes of the haunting encounter lingered, leaving behind a surreal memory of an alliance forged by necessity in the face of the inexplicable, a momentary ceasefire in the ever-rolling waves of enmity. The American battleship, the USS Texas, stood as a lone sentinel on the haunted seas, its mighty presence a testament to mortal strength prevailing over the supernatural. The night, once engulfed in spectral uncertainty, settled into an uneasy calm, with the memory of the otherworldly clash fading into the annals of the North Atlantic's haunted history. With the haunting ordeal now behind them, the British and American ships, solemn guardians of the haunted seas, escorted the survivors to the safety of port. The crew members, bearing witness to the inexplicable clash and the vanquishing of the ghostly Titanic, held the surreal encounter close to their hearts, swearing an unspoken oath to keep the tale confined to the depths of the ocean, a sea story never to escape their lips. As the vessels sailed towards the safety of the port, the survivors, still reeling from the chilling encounter, found solace in the comforting lights that lined the harbor. The haunting memories of the spectral clash remained etched in their minds, a testament to a night that defied explanation, a tale that would forever remain buried in the depths of the ocean, known only to those who had braved the haunted seas. The British and American crews, united by a shared encounter that transcended the boundaries of their differences, maintained a vow of silence, ensuring that the surreal events on the North Atlantic never saw the light of day beyond the confines of their own memories. The tale would exist solely as a sea story, a whispered legend amongst those who had lived through the otherworldly clash, a narrative kept alive only within the tight-knit circle of those who had borne witness to the inexplicable on the haunted waters. And so, the vessels sailed silently into the safety of port, carrying with them the weight of a night shrouded in mystery and the unspoken pact to keep the spectral encounter buried in the depths of their collective memory, a sea story never to be recounted, destined to fade into the annals of the ocean's enigmatic lore, known only to those who had shared in the surreal encounter on the haunted seas. Indeed, the crews of the Olympic, Britannic, and the survivors from the Carpathia, bound by the chilling experience on the haunted seas, shared a solemn vow of silence. They understood the weight of the inexplicable encounter and the importance of keeping it shrouded in secrecy, forever locked within the confines of their memories. As the vessels safely reached port, the crews dispersed, carrying with them the remnants of a nightmarish encounter that defied logic and reason. They solemnly agreed that the haunting clash of mortal and spectral forces would remain a forbidden tale, never to be spoken of beyond the hushed whispers among those who had shared in the surreal ordeal. Each crew member, haunted by the memory of the supernatural confrontation, held true to the pact of silence, understanding the danger of letting such an otherworldly tale reach the ears of the wider world. They dispersed to their lives, carrying the weight of the untold story, a pact woven into the fabric of their shared experience, an agreement to keep the surreal events on the haunted seas buried in the depths of their collective consciousness. The tale would forever reside as a sea story, a whispered legend amongst the select few who had navigated the haunted waters. Bound by an unspoken bond forged through a night of chilling uncertainty, they safeguarded the secret, ensuring that the inexplicable clash of the Titanic and the spectral forces remained confined to the whispers of those who had lived through the otherworldly encounter, a vow of silence that would endure through time, keeping the haunting events forever locked away from the prying ears of the world. In the tranquil depths of the ocean, where the haunting Titanic met its final resting place, a brief flicker of crimson light pierced through the dark, echoing the ghostly vessel's spectral legacy. The haunting glow, a symbol of the Titanic's enduring presence in the depths, lingered for a fleeting moment, casting an eerie hue in the underwater expanse. As if bidding farewell to the world above, the blood-red lights of the Titanic shimmered for a few seconds, a spectral reminiscence of its past existence. Then, in a solemn conclusion, the lights dimmed and faded, extinguishing for the last time, signaling the end of the ghostly vessel's spectral presence. The ocean floor, a silent witness to history's mysteries, enveloped the remnants of the Titanic, shrouding the haunting vessel in a peaceful embrace. The once grand ship, now a relic of tragedy and spectral lore, found its eternal sanctuary in the quietude of the depths, its legacy forever intertwined with the secrets of the ocean's abyss. The blood-red lights, once a haunting reminder of the Titanic's presence, dissolved into the eternal darkness of the ocean floor, marking the conclusion of its spectral existence. The ocean, a vast and enigmatic realm, embraced the remnants of the Titanic, leaving behind only whispers of its haunting tale, a story forever submerged in the depths, known only to the silent depths of the sea.